Hi there, Sydney Brown, and welcome back to the Sydney Brown, the Memoir Mastermind Writing and Publishing for Beginners channel. So today we're going to talk about the top 10 things to avoid when writing your personal memoir. Now, a lot of the times people will talk about what you need to do, but I think it's also important to not only structure the whole thing about what you should do, but let's be real. We want to know what you shouldn't do, because you don't want to accidentally throw in something that really shouldn't have been in there. So because a memoir is truly a powerful and intimate way to share your story and your experiences with others. We want to make sure that you're using it properly. Honestly, I hate to even say that, because it is such a personal thing that I don't want you to feel like you're regulated or regimented into anything, because if it comes out of you, it should be able to just fall out, and then you make sense of it later. So when I say this, I'm talking to the you that has already thrown out a bunch of stuff on paper, and maybe you just aren't sure what order to put it in or what not to put in there at all. So stuff like that. So let's talk about these for what you don't do after you've already let the creativity fall out. And falling out creatively is a good thing, by the way. I know it probably sounds a little weird, but I have little terms that sometimes I'll just make stuff up. And when you let something fall out of you, to me, that's a good thing. So let's go ahead and jump into this, because in this video we're going to explore the top 10 mistakes to avoid. Make sure that your memoir is captivating, that it's authentic, that it's honest, and that it's, most importantly, impactful, because you're doing this to reach your readers, right? So let's go ahead, let's dive in and make sure that you and your story shines. All right, so here we go. The top 10 things to avoid when writing your personal memoir. Number 1, overloading it with details. I'm a writer. I like words. I use them a lot, but you can definitely overload. You can overload an email. You can overload a conversation. You can certainly overload your memoir with details. So details are important. You want to be very specific and go in deep at times, but you don't want to overwhelm the narrative. So focus on the most significant and relevant details that actually contribute to and move your story forward, and we'll probably leave the rest out. Now remember, as I go through these, this is stuff that you will think about after you've already just poured everything out of you. So number 2, lack of structure. Now, if you are a person who flies by the seat of your pants and you just let things happen, that's a good thing, to let the emotions and let the stories just fall out of you. But when it comes time to organize, you must organize. You need that structure. So organizing your memoir with a clear structure and a logical progression, making it easier for your reader to follow along, get engaged, stay engaged, understand what you're saying, and then take that journey with you. That's what you want. So you must have that structure. So lack of structure is something that you avoid. All right, number 3, unresolved conflicts. Now, what I mean by this is, in your story, you're going to, let's say it's about a time when you were a teenager and you ran away from home. So you're going to talk about, the fighting with the parents, or the this or the that, and running away from home, and maybe some bad things that happened while you were out there, fending for yourself, whatever. And as you wrap up the story in your mind, you know the details. And so you may say, and then I met this guy and got married and happily ever after. And your reader is going to be like, whoa, what? So you don't want to leave out the unresolved conflicts. And by conflicts, I don't necessarily mean fights. A conflict, in my opinion, the way I'm using it here, is any sort of something that you have to overcome, a conflict being an obstacle. So don't leave unresolved obstacles, because that your reader will be like, whoa, I feel like you started a story and then you just teased me with it. And now I've got this big cliffhanger that I don't know if you're ever going to tell me the whole story. So don't do that to your reader. Let them be satisfied at the end of your story. Let them know enough of the details that they feel happy for you, that they feel accomplished with you. They've taken that journey. So don't leave anything that leaves them wondering. Now, we'll talk about cliffhangers later, but cliffhangers have a purpose, but it should not be on your primary storyline. Okay, so number 4, ignoring emotional impact. So don't be shy and don't avoid exploring and conveying the emotions that you experienced during the key moments of your story. Let's talk again, like pretend you're a runaway. Talk about how you were terrified that first time you snuck behind a trash dumpster and slept there, hoping that every crack, every sound that you heard, every smell, every time you heard a voice or heard some guys walking by, something like that, that you felt terrified because you just knew that your life was at risk with every sound that you heard. Make sure that your reader really understands your emotions and how you felt, how it scared you, how it thrilled you, how whatever that emotion was for you in your story. Make sure that reader understands how you felt so that they can feel it with you. So you don't want to ignore the emotional impact. Make sure that you share that. Number 5, inconsistencies. So you want to ensure that your memoir is consistent as far as tone, style, tense, and maintain a smooth and engaging reading experience for them. If they don't have all of those things, they're going to probably follow your story for a while, but if it's too much effort, they'll just put the book down. If they put the book down, they're not going to leave a good review. If you're trying to sell this book. If this is a personal story, obviously, if you've shared it only with very close friends and family, they're going to hang on your every word anyway because they love you, because they want that story. But you still want to give them the best story you have. So it's a little bit different as far as, setting the bar for if it's friends and family versus general public, but it's the same concept overall. But just try to be as consistent as possible, because your reader can kind of get in the pattern with you and just enjoy the journey. All right, number 6, writing for revenge. Now, we've talked about tell-all memoirs. We've talked about just kind of just the facts and things like that. Don't write for revenge. Now, if you're going to write for revenge, let that be your therapeutic writing that does not get published, does not get shared. When you're writing for revenge, let that be just for you. Tear that thing up, burn it, do whatever, and just be done with it. Be free of it. But if you are writing for revenge, your reader probably doesn't have that emotional tie that you do. And so they're just going to think, wow, this person, either one, they feel bad for you because you got screwed over, but they don't really feel bad for you. They just feel like, or they'll actually just be totally disengaged, and you'll just be doing this for yourself. So it's very important. Remember also legal possible issues. You just don't want to air other people's dirty laundry. You don't want to talk about how much you hate that person in a book. Now, if you are a multimillionaire and it's worth it to pay a couple of lawsuits to just burn someone, that's a decision you can make. But I recommend speaking to an attorney before you write anything with revenge in mind. All right, number 7, neglecting the reader. Don't neglect the reader. So in this, you want to keep your audience engaged and consider their needs. Now, I know that this is going to sound kind of weird at first because it's your story. It's your story. It's your book. You're telling the story. So why do you have to care about that reader? And if they don't like the story, then they're not your ideal reader. You might take that tone or that idea. And I wouldn't totally discount that, but I do want to be very clear that especially if you're doing this to share with others, you absolutely want your reader to be at the front and center in your mind as you do this, because your reader must feel like you're talking to them, or in the room they're journeying with you. These are just very, very vital. And if your reader doesn't feel that, they're gonna put the book down. All right, number 8, lack of self-reflection. So don't lack self-reflection. And the reason for this, and it's super, super important, is you're doing this for you. You're going through your life and your journey, and you're going through, and for a form of self-therapy as well. So really enjoy those times as you're going through the research time, as you're going through the reflection time. You need to really allow yourself to feel those things again, even if they were bad. You still want to feel it a little bit, not like, re-traumatize yourself. No. But just recognize that was a really rough time, or that was a really amazing time, whatever it was for you. And then just make sure that as you do this, that you're feeling and noticing what you're feeling, so that then you know how to write it into your story. Because once you are aware of your feelings, then you can write them much better. So don't shortcut your self-reflection. Take the time to reflect on the experience, the insights, ensuring that your memoir is not just retelling the events, but sharing that journey with your reader. Number 9, overuse of cliches. It's one of those things that's just pretty much widespread frowned on, because a lot of the times it's just, it may not be something that all readers even understand, the cliche. So it may not mean anything to them. It's basically, throw the baby out, different things like that. So when you use that, you're putting distance between you and your reader. So just be careful about that. And then finally, number 10, you don't want to rush the writing process. Give yourself the time to go through this, to reflect, to write, draft, pour out, pour, revise, rework, polish, ensure that it's the best representation of your story that you can come up with. Make sure that it conveys what you want it to convey, and then get some help with it. But don't rush through it, because if you do, it's very likely that it's gonna pale in comparison to what it could have been. All right, guys, there is your top 10 things to avoid when writing your personal memoir. Let's talk to you in just a second.